Hey everyone, welcome to the 30th episode of the Wheels Walking Podcast, a podcast with a guy in a wheelchair and a guy not in a wheelchair.
What up? And episode 30.
Yeah, I can't believe you made it to 30 already.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's weird.
But also the podcast where the guy in the wheelchair has only had a Bang energy and a coffee in his stomach all day today. So if I'm extra lit, that's why.
And I haven't eaten anything all day, so
and then neither is AJ.
Stay quiet.
He can probably just shut the fuck up.
And I've already eaten. I've already eaten 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 little mini quiches and a full-size smoothie. So I'm booling, and also a very large cup of coffee. So I'm lit.
Oh, I'm Andrew, and I'm in a better mood.
Oh, I'm. What's the thing that Crystalia said? Oh, I'm Penelope. I'm so cool.
I haven't listened to his new one yet, but I know that I want to listen to it.
Yeah, his new episodes are good.
If
but that's
you
from
guys,
an old one.
Here's the thing. If you guys listen to this podcast, you need to listen to Crystalia's podcast too. Like, you have to, because it is hilarious. He's a comedian who spends an hour just talking to the camera.
It's really funny.
Just practicing bits and being a little like
you'll
a crazy person.
You'll probably realize like a ton of our like jokes and voices are from Crystalia.
Yeah, we totally are.
Like when
majorly inspired
when
by
Richard's
him.
girlfriend started listening to it, she's like, "Oh, this is how you guys talk," and she started understanding like half of our jokes.
Oh, I get it now.
Speaking of jokes, I have a video that I need to play for you guys, submitted by our very own Fred Smith from. He's living in France right now, right?
Yeah, he's a Brit living in France, but Fred is, dude, we love Fred. And this is why I like Fred. He thought I was just some dumb poser. And then he read the Untold Story and he was like, oh, wow, okay, this is not some dumb poser. And then we've just been like chatting back and forth. He's been listening to the podcast. He's a patron. Like, there's so much cool stuff that he's always like.
I feel like I should play the end of his first video that he sent us.
So he made us a couple of videos, but the one that we want to play, we can't play because there's music in it, and then
it'll get copyright
claimed. So if you want to see it, go to the Facebook group. It's in the Facebook group. So
Fred sent us a video of us rapping basically this song because we said "shut the fuck up" so many times in the last episode.
Yeah,
that he took a bunch of instances of the times we said it and pasted it over a song. And Together Now by Limp Bizkit, and it's really funny. So go to the Wheels to Walking Podcast Facebook group, and you can go watch the full thing. We won't play the beginning part of it, but here's the ending part of it. It's pretty funny because he kind of like
makes us say stuff that we didn't say.
Things, yeah.
All right, so
okay, here we go. Definitely catchy, but yeah, here's the. Here's my take on it. The music video, not bad. I mean,
I don't have time for bullshit.
The song, definitely catchy, but it's
I hate this.
It's just a lot of ass and like
I'm a consistent ass. Hey man, you want to get the fuck out of here? Thank you for wasting 60 seconds of my life.
Fuck you. I didn't even ever hear the end where I go, fuck you. That's amazing.
I go, thank you for wasting 60 seconds of my life. Also, you need to go watch his other video, Stuck in the Gaff, which is also on his channel. But
yes, okay, but he just sent me another video this morning.
And I haven't seen it yet.
And Richard hasn't seen it yet.
I haven't seen this yet. So
if you're watching the YouTube video, we'll put this video over top of so you can watch it too.
I mean, just like we did the previous one. So
yeah, here we go.
Yes.
But speaking of celebrities that are boring, what about
Wheels Walking?
Yeah. If it's on YouTube, it's probably
clickbait as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Our audience has kind of gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. Smaller and smaller and smaller.
You're saying way too many words.
You son of a bitch. It's like no matter what I do, people are gonna hate me.
But no one's paying attention to you because you're fucking irrelevant, bro. Like
he's right though. Like I'll talk specifically about
like how there's 100 trillionaires.
I'm gonna just hit you.
I don't think that's how it works.
I don't give a shit. I will Irish goodbye my mom. I will say no to your face.
That's just you being respectful.
I will fucking bail on anything. I don't know how I've managed to somehow get really good at this. Understand my brain has limited capacity. I can be an ass. You guys want to hear how much of an asshole I am? Julie, you into this? If you want your mind to get absolutely fucking blown, like when I'm in the gym, all I want to do is fight people.
Richard, shut the fuck up.
Richard, shut the fuck up.
All I want to do when I'm at the gym is just fight people.
Dude, I want to play that again.
That was so good. Can we please listen to that again?
I want to play it again.
Oh my shit. That was fucking funny. Fred, we love you. Keep doing stuff like this. Anyone else who's listening, make fun of us. We love it. Get in the podcast group and roast us because this is hilarious.
Okay, here, I'm playing it again. But speaking of celebrities that are boring, what about
Wheels to Walking?
yeah. If it's on YouTube, it's probably
Clickbait as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Our audience has kind of gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, smaller and smaller and smaller.
You're saying way too many words.
You son of a bitch. It's
Sure.
like no matter what I do, people are gonna hate me.
But no one's paying attention to you because you're fucking irrelevant, bro. Like
He's right though. Like I'll talk specifically about
how there's 100 trillionaires.
I'm gonna just hit you.
I don't think that's how it works.
I don't give a shit. I will Irish goodbye my mom.
That
I
line.
will say no to your face.
That's just you being respectful. It's
I will fucking bail on anything. I don't know how I've managed to somehow get really good at this.
Understand my brain has limited capacity. I can be an ass.
You guys want to hear how much of an asshole I am? Jalila, you into this? If you want your mind to get absolutely fucking blown, like when I'm in the gym, all I want to do is fight people.
Richard. Shut the fuck up. Dude, that is so funny.
I'm gonna like pee my pants. I'm laughing so hard. This is fucking great.
Oh my god.
Fred, you're the man.
Dude, that is hilarious. Please make more of those. Like, oh my god. I was at the gym this morning when he sent it to me. And I was on the Stairmaster, and I had just seen you, and I was literally like cracking up. And he's like, "Don't show Richard yet. Wait until you go on the podcast to show him."
Genius.
I'm like,
Genius,
that is
genius.
hilarious. That was, oh my god, so funny.
Dude, speaking of videos, like, guys, bros, today we are shooting a video after the podcast. We've been doing that a lot recently. We do a podcast and we shoot a video. This video going to be so sick. Like, it is going to be something that you're going to want to do. And I'm so excited to do it. I don't even want to tell you what it is because it's so fun. It's going to be so cool.
It's going to be so fun and so cool. And we don't want to tell you anything about it, but it's going to be so fun and so cool.
Well, I'll give you guys a teaser. How about this? I'm going to be, I've purchased like a scooter, like a bird scooter, like a big like electric scooter. And I am going to attach it to my wheelchair so I can turn my wheelchair into basically a scooter and zoom around at 15 miles an hour. And
Which doesn't sound that fast, but it's fast as shit.
it's 15 miles an hour is quick. And this particular scooter has like an 18-mile range. So this is going to be my new toy. I'm going to take this bitch everywhere. Like, I'm gonna literally,
I wonder if the range would be better with the weight being like more distributed over the wheelchair wheels too.
Well, the problem is,
I don't know,
and we'll see this when it happens in the video. I've already tested it out. Is it's front wheel drive and all the weight's in the back. So like when you start and accelerate, it just spins. But
You got to start slow.
yeah,
Doesn't have launch control.
yes. But anyway, guys, it's gonna be so much fun because it's going to be a fast-paced, fun, quick. I'm also going to show you like where I got the scooter, how much it cost, you know, how to get like all the hardware to like attach it to your scooter so it's safe. Like, it's going to be a blast, man.
Yeah.
Like,
And if you're not a member of our Patreon, you can get that video early. If you subscribe to the Patreon, you'll be able to get it on Monday.
yo, there was people in the comments that were like, yo, this video came out 2 minutes ago. How is someone commenting 14 hours ago? And then both Fred and Gerardo hopped in there and were like, it's because they're patrons, biatch.
It's because we pay money, biatch, and we're cool like that, biatch. So if you want to be a member of the first club, you can definitely join our Patreon and get early access to videos. The thumbnail's not always in there, but
there's a lot of stuff. So when Andrew sends me the video doesn't have captions. It doesn't have a thumbnail. It doesn't have title, a description, tags, nothing. It's bare bones. It's raw. It's just the video. And it takes me a day or two, a day and a half to get all that other stuff done. And even him to do like the thumbnail and the micro content and like other stuff.
we just do the video first.
Yeah. So
You're just getting it as early as possible.
You're getting it like as soon as I get it, you get it. So we've never set an expectation of like, you're going to get it 2 days early or 24 hours early. Because
You're going to get it exactly 23.972 hours early.
Because sometimes early means like 19 minutes. Because like sometimes it
like the Shorty Award video.
Yeah, for like
and
whatever
stuff.
reason, like I'll get it and then I'll paste it, and then he and I are busting our ass for like the next 45 minutes to finish all the other stuff, like just crush, and then we release it on the open. But if you are also signed up for the Untold Story on the email list, that gets launched too. So I launch Patreon, and then I launch the email list, then I launch YouTube, then I launch Instagram, then I launch Facebook, and Facebook is always last because fuck Facebook.
Even though we've been getting some good shares on there recently.
Yeah, if you're on Facebook and you're like, yo, how come this video is lower quality and there's no subtitles on it? Go to YouTube. Trust me, it's better on YouTube. It's 4K.
I don't know if anyone's
professional subtitles. Like, it's nice. It's nicer over on YouTube. Like, we're just cross-posting to Facebook. Like, we don't even have to do Facebook.
Facebook's compression is so bad that I don't think anyone's like, why is this quality so bad? Because they're already on Facebook and they know the quality is bad.
Instagram is just pretty bad.
Yeah, especially if you're uploading horizontal videos, it's gonna crush your quality like a motherfucker.
Yeah, dude. And you know what's really interesting is like we have a friend who is normally like always running around doing stuff with other people. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him just like be inside. And recently, thanks to a combination of a lot of reasons, and Rona being one of those, he's been inside a lot, but he's like a 12-year-old kid on the inside but he's like 35 and got money because he's built like this really cool like FPV.
I think he's like 28.
Whatever. This FPV drone empire, and he does like his really cool YouTube videos and stuff like that. But we went over to his place and we saw like he's built like the coolest thing. But you got the full experience. I got to do it like a little bit, but your experience on it was so much better because you got to do.
Well, let's say what he created. So our friend's Mr. Steele on YouTube. You know, if you're into FPV stuff at all, you definitely know Mr. Steele.
FPV, for those who don't know, stands for first person view, meaning that if you are flying a drone, you're wearing goggles that are attached to a camera on the front of the drone, so it feels and looks like you're flying, like you have the first person view of the drone.
So basically, you have a GoPro and you also have a CCTV camera on the front of it. So the GoPro is attaching the video, or it's recording the video that you'll end up watching on YouTube, and the CCTV camera is way lower quality, but the what's the word I'm looking for? The latency is way less.
There's like
so
no
it's basically
latency.
instant. You can see in real time what the drone is doing. Like on a DJI drone, it's pretty close, but you're gonna have a few milliseconds of delay, and sometimes like it freezes and things like that. So you can't really fly so accurately that you could like fly between, you know, a foot, you know, a little gap or something, let alone some even smaller stuff that Seal flies through. But anyways,
this guy is a professional pilot.
He's actually one of the few people in the entire world that's been able to make a full-time career out of being an FPV drone pilot. There's a lot of full-time people that do drone pilot stuff, but it's a lot of stuff for like movies and cinematography. He's one of the few people that is a full-time professional FPV drone pilot.
From like a professional, not just like he's basically.
As I'm saying, he's full time. He makes a living doing it.
More than a hobbyist. It's like basically if a hobbyist found a way to make a butt ton of money, so then he could just make that as his career.
Yeah. So anyway, Steele recently set up an entire racing simulator.
We should put some of your stories.
Yeah, we'll put it on the video. I'll send it to AJ so you can put it.
And we'll just make it quiet so we can they can view it while we're talking about it.
Yeah. But basically, he's got a full racing setup where he's got pedals, a steering wheel that has a motor in it that responds in real time to the game. It's got a manual shifter that literally feels like you're shifting through the gears if you were driving a car. He's also got a steering wheel with paddle shifters, so if you're driving a car with paddle shifters. So for example, if you're driving a McLaren P1, that car has paddle shifters. So you literally take the steering wheel with the paddle shifters and put that one in, and then you get to use the paddle shifters. And then if you're driving like an old school Nissan GTR Skyline, your right hand drive and you're using the manual shifter.
And you also have like an e-brake for drifting.
You have a freaking e-brake, a little fun stick, so you can drift and stuff. The pedals are really high quality. The steering was what got me, bro. It fights you, bro. Like you have to like really fucking work it.
I was impressed with the seat. I know that's silly of me to say, but it was a
it was a Sparco racing seat.
Full-on Sparco racing seat, like proper like racing seat. Like you wear gloves, and honestly, I think for the experience, it'd be fun to even have a harness on, you know, just to like get the full experience.
Well, especially if you have the whole setup that he wants to get, where it like does the motion. Yeah, you would probably wear a seatbelt.
Yeah, and then it has so you got like these really cool pedals. You got the dope seat, the multiple steering wheels, the shifter, the e-brake, but even the way the screens were set up. He has 3 monitors, one in front of you, one to the left, one to the right, and they're touching. But the 2 bezels combined are like an inch or 2 wide. And
it's like half an inch probably.
2 of them combined is about half an inch.
They're pretty small. Like the bezels were like that big. So it'd be like together they're only that big.
So
but
let's call it an inch. But that's still enough to like mind the gap. But there's these cool like I don't even know what to call them.
Diffusers. They're like these little plastic diffusers that basically go in between the gap of the screens. So that when you're sitting in the seat, it makes it look like it's one giant screen. So it removes the bezel, which is pretty sweet. Like I'd never seen that before.
Yeah, it was.
So instead of buying like a giant ultra wide, you could combine them and get these little things. ROG makes them actually. So Asus makes them, and they're little like diffusers. Basically, it's like a thin piece of plastic that just sits in the gap, which is pretty dope. And then he also has it set up so one of the monitors can tilt the other way so he can play like Call of Duty or something on it, and just sit at the table and his keyboard like slides over. It's a dope setup. My stories will probably be gone, but like I said, I'll send AJ the footage so he can put it on the...
you could potentially make a highlight.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really cool, man. I like Steel Live. Steel's garage was really cool to check out. He's got a lot of toys in there, and
yeah, he's got a Lotus, and also what's the Lotus that he has? Exige?
Elise.
I think it's the Exige though. I think the Elise was before.
I don't know. I don't know enough.
I don't remember. It's one of the two.
Yeah,
one of the two.
I know.
And he also has the dual motor performance Model 3, Tesla Model 3. So
yeah, and then
he's living the best of both worlds there with manual and the future.
But I like his workshop too. Like he's got so much cool stuff around there. Like I've he's probably gonna pop in to another video we're doing Saturday, which is gonna, if it doesn't rain, by the way, which is gonna be another one, which will come out in 2 weeks.
He might be our drone pilot.
Yeah, BT Dubs. If anyone is listening to this and anyone lives in Georgia that does some really dope adaptive stuff, hit me up. Because I'm doing a lot of Georgia videos. Like since we can't really travel,
we can't really leave the state.
I don't want to travel. Yeah, let me know about your Georgia video. Like if you're in Georgia, like
or even like South Carolina maybe or something.
Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, maybe Florida. I don't know.
Maybe Charlotte, North Carolina.
I don't really want to drive more than 2 hours, honestly. So if you're in a 2-hour radius of Atlanta,
hit us up.
But
if it's for something really cool, we'll probably go outside of that. But anyways, yeah, it was just fun hanging out yesterday with Steel because we got to do that simulator. Dude, like honestly, I had dreams driving that last night. Like literally in my dreams, I was like driving on the Nürburgring in a LaFerrari. I'm
jealous of your experience because like, so for those of you that know, like my feet kind of work. So I got to do the flappy. Why do I say flappy paddle? The sequential gearbox,
the paddle
shifters. And then I got to drive a Ferrari Sesto Elemento, Lamborghini.
Yeah, the Sesto Elemento.
Lamborghini Sesto Elemento. Sesto Elemento.
The Sesto Elemento.
Yes, there you go. And then, like I could
Lamborghini.
You guys can look at my foot on the camera.
I don't think you can see it.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Now you can
I can kind of do that. And then, but like when I would try to switch over to the brake, I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, is my foot?
You don't have much feeling.
I was like, is my foot
there
in the right place? Can I press it down? I don't
Honestly,
even know.
can you do toe down on the left? Maybe driving with 2 feet would have worked.
I didn't even think about that, but no, I can't really. Maybe I could.
Maybe if you like pushed more than toe. Either way.
Maybe I use my heels.
Either way.
Walter Jr. that.
He did. Walt Jr. used both feet.
He did. I forgot about that.
Cheers, Walt
Cheers.
Jr.
But
by the way, if you guys can read my coffee mug, what's up?
Dude, my friend Marcy, she just posted an Instagram story yesterday outside of the Breaking Bad house. It's pretty cool. She went and visited it. They've got fences all around it now. Well, like so people won't like go up to the house. Like it's like a gated driveway even. It's kind of funny.
Does someone live in it?
Yeah, someone lives in it. It's like a lady. Like this lady that they were wanting to find like that perfect house or whatever. Because I remember watching a behind the scenes video and they were saying like an actual lady lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and lives in that house.
She was like, "Oh, that's a nice house."
Well, no, it's not. They were looking for the perfect house.
Oh, and they found it.
The Breaking Bad people were looking for the perfect house.
I wonder
how
they made it look like run down at the
the
towards
end.
Like the end. Yeah,
I don't know, man. They probably paid her a lot of money to use that house. They might have recreated that run down part as a set.
Yeah, most likely.
That's possible.
I mean, honestly, that was probably cheaper than
a lot of their
destroying
interior
a house.
stuff was on set.
Yeah, I would imagine that probably it'd be cheaper to destroy a set than destroy her actual home and then try to redo it. But
yeah, it's weird how that goes.
Yeah, but either way, yeah, it was just so cool because literally, I don't know really much about like racing. Like I've never done like lap times or anything like that. I've only done like go-karting and things like that and played some video games.
I've done Gran Turismo 2 on
PlayStation 2?
PlayStation 1.
But you were doing joystick or were you doing...
No joystick. It was just the D-pad and like up, down, left, right, and X basically.
There was a joystick on PS1. Wasn't there?
No, DualShock.
At one point,
DualShock only came in on the PS2, I think.
Really? I thought there was a joystick.
I mean, I think it came in later, maybe.
I don't know.
Well,
Either way,
but
there was just a D-pad. That's kind of crazy.
Let me fact check it.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, but yeah.
I like the joysticks on Xbox better than I like the joysticks on PlayStation. The ones on PlayStation are in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. But either way, yeah, that was super sick. And like, it was crazy because certain cars, like the simulator was so fucking accurate. Like literally, depending on what car you had, it felt totally different.
It behaved differently.
Like
if I floored it had different attitudes. Like
yeah, like I was going in like the GTR, it took a second to like go through the gears, and like I could kind of floor it, and I wouldn't completely lose it. If I was in like,
well, that was 4-wheel drive too, if you think about it. Yeah,
true. But so was the LaFerrari. If I fucking floored that shit, it was I could lose control so quickly because it was just so much power, and you were mowing through the gears.
What about
it was
the
like,
RX-7?
Whap, whap, whap. But in the GTR, it's like whap, whap.
What about the RX-7?
The Mazda RX-7 drift car.
Yeah,
the drift car.
That had the exhaust coming out the hood. That was tight.
And he had two different simulators. One was like iDrive, and apparently that one's like even more accurate because like if you crash, it'll like actually damage your car. Versus this one, it would kind of just let you keep going. But
basically,
it was sweet. I ended up getting a 9-minute and 30-second lap time on the Nürburgring in the LaFerrari, so that was cool. Even though I think like the actual lap time is like sub 7 minutes.
Under 7 minutes, yeah.
But for an amateur driver first time, I thought it was super fun. Yeah. Like I had a blast. And at first I didn't really, I was kind of like, this is cool and all, but like, I don't know. Like it doesn't exactly feel like it, but you go on it for a while and you just like get in the zone and you're just like doing it. Like by the end, like I wasn't crashing and stuff. Like it was fun.
It doesn't even feel, it's almost one of those things that like.
You get into a flow state.
It's very close to tricking your brain into making it real. Like once he gets the seat that moves, and if he gets VR, oh shit, it'll be
you can get
over.
VR goggles to match with it.
Over. If he gets VR goggles in the moving seat, your brain is too dumb to know.
Because also
your brain will have no idea.
The thing about the steering wheel too is most of the time when you're driving, you've got both hands on the steering wheel unless you're shifting. You switch to one hand. But if you're doing paddles, your thumbs are kind of like locked into that like one position.
Hook in, yeah.
And if you were on the VR goggles, you would literally be looking down and seeing like a guy in a racing suit with gloves and shit. Like, and you'd look in the mirror and it would be like a guy with a helmet. Like you would feel like you're in that. Yeah. He doesn't have a VR headset, but he's like, I'm going to get that.
VR is really interesting because I've been noticing that a lot of people are using VR for disabled people, like to like help them do like gait training or to help them experience something they may never experienced before, or to like play games or like
That's
inclusion.
Really interesting.
Like I got a company email me. I haven't even looked at the email. I just saw it was like VR for handicapped people, and I'm like, that's the wrong word. You should use disabled people. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I always get annoyed when companies use like non-PC language, but then again, I'm like, they just don't know any better. Like,
yeah, but also, are you actually offended, or are you just like policing their language?
Oh, I'm not offended. I don't give a shit. But I'm just saying, like, if you're trying to
be inclusive, you should use the right words.
Yeah, if you're trying to get the whole community involved, if you're trying to be if you're trying to be inclusive, and it's like, hey, all you handicapped people who are wheelchair bound, do you want to try that? It's like, oh, shut up. Like,
shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
It's like, hi, we are wheelchair users and we are people with disabilities.
We are not bound.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, that actually is a really interesting concept with like the VR for handicapped people. For wheelchair users.
Yo, what I found out, I didn't know how offensive the word handicap was for people in the UK. I had no idea.
It's like a huge slur.
There's this guy named Paige who doesn't comment anymore because I think he got mad at me because I would always reply back and whatever.
But he was like mad when we did the handicap parking video.
Yeah.
He was like, that's so offensive. It's accessible parking. And it's like, well, in the United States, we still call it handicap parking.
Yeah. And that's the thing
it's not offensive.
But also, I did a bunch of research before obviously, because that's how you make good videos, is you do research, and you have to have a topic that has a high search rate. And out of the term accessible parking, disabled parking, and handicap parking, it was like 150 search results for like accessible parking, and then you type in disabled parking, it's like 200 results, and then you go handicap parking, it's like 200,000 results, and I'm like, yes, that's the one I'm gonna use, because more people are searching for that than they are searching for the other one.
Exactly.
And there's a whole bunch of like videos on YouTube of people like exposing and like slamming and like catching people, you know. And it's like,
so, and those all use handicap parking.
They all use the term handicap. So I'm like, haha, biatch, I'm going to go ahead and swoop in there. So when people are looking at like, people in Colorado are abusing handicap parking. Today on the investigative report on Channel 4 News, we approach people that have fake tags, and handicap parking. Handicap. And I'm like, so when people watch that video and they're stupid, they get to go watch the other video that educates them on other shit.
Accurate.
Strategy, people. It's all about strategy. If you see something that I do that you don't like, it's strategy. Believe me, it's intentional. We do a lot of intentional stuff that people are like, don't get.
Yeah. They're like, why are you doing it like that? And it's like, well, there's probably a reason for it. But yeah, sometimes we are being stupid, but most of the time it's calculated.
Most of the time it's strategy. I'd say 70 to 80% strategy, 20 to 30% stupidity.
Yeah.
That's probably a good metric.
What was our next topic again? I didn't write them down in your order.
No, it's fine. We are a gym transition.
Let me take a picture of your
there you go.
phone.
So, Andrew and I's gym opened back up a couple days. You put the flash on, you dipshit.
I had the flash on because I was taking a picture of my fucking leg earlier.
Dude, what if I screenshot this and just text it to you?
have it now. That was easier.
Okay. So, this is our gym opened back up, and we were like, I don't know if we want to go back. And
I went back on Friday, so I've been back for a full week, basically.
I went and looked Friday just to see how they were doing things just before I made the decision. So when you first roll in, they take your temperature. They scan your head.
Well, I walk in. I don't roll, but...
Yeah, there's people wearing masks. And when you scan in, they're also wearing masks, and there's big plastic things in the way. You scan it. They're doing social distancing in the locker.
Well, they take your temperature.
Yeah. Yeah, I said that, didn't I?
Oh, I thought you just said they scan you. My bad.
Well, they take your temperature. They scan your forehead. Sorry.
They scan your forehead like you have a barcode on your forehead.
They use the gun thing. You know the
it's
gun,
a temperature gun.
You know the gun thing?
Yeah. They take your temperature, but it doesn't touch you. So it's literally just like a little a temperature gun.
Yeah. And then so you go into, you know, the locker room or whatever, and there's like every third locker is available. All the other ones are like shut off. I think the pool just opened up. I don't know, the sauna.
Sauna's still not open.
So there's no sauna, there's no
annoying.
basketball, there's no group, there's no spin, there's no nothing. It's just
but on they did send out an email last couple days ago saying that they are opening up group fitness in a few days, and what they're doing is on the floor they're marking off spaces that are 10 feet apart. No one's allowed to share equipment, and they're allowing, like, you're supposed to get there early to, like, clean off all the stuff that you're going to use for the class. Spin class, they removed every other bike. All the bikes are in the basketball court. And even still, I think that those are probably kind of close, but whatever. And then, of course, to continue, sorry, I kind of hijacked the conversation, but they also have like these cleaning buckets everywhere.
So
there's like a paper towel, there's a bunch of paper towels, and there's spray. So basically, after every time you use equipment, you're supposed to grab paper towel, spray it down, and then sanitize any equipment that you've touched.
Yeah, they've also put in like these really high quality air filters.
They're like hospital grade or something.
Yeah. So all the filters get out.
And they also have the front doors completely wide open, which is nice. So you don't have to touch any doors.
Yep, everything's open. And I was still kind of suspect of it, but here's the thing. We both go early.
So that there's less people.
So there's less people.
And like potentially, hopefully, they've been like sanitized at the end of the night. Probably
overnight,
the cleaning crew goes through and sanitizes. So we're basically touching the clean stuff, hopefully, for the first time.
Yeah, and then we also still wipe down everything after we're done. It's an
and there's hand sanitizer everywhere too, which is nice.
There's so much stuff everywhere, and
like it is really nice, and I do feel like pretty confident there. Like I don't feel very vulnerable, which is nice.
I still wear a face covering. It's a cloth one that is basically basically a lightweight sweatshirt. Like it's kind of thick, but I cover it, and it covers my nose and my mouth, and I'll get to the point where maybe I don't wear one, but for now, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Especially in the gym, I feel like
I'm not wearing one at the gym right now. Mainly because I find when I'm wearing the mask, I end up touching my face more than if I wasn't wearing the mask because I'm constantly adjusting it. And then I'm putting the germs that I just potentially have on my hands from touching other things. Now it's on my mask and now it's like on my face. So I'd rather just not have the mask on and then try to avoid touching my face as much as possible. And then, you know, if I need to, I'll use some hand sanitizer real fast and itch my face or whatever.
I haven't got to that point yet because I make it sure that I don't touch my face.
Yeah, but yours is a little bit
like, your argument is valid.
Yeah,
you know?
Because a lot of times I'm like trying to adjust it because it's like falling off or whatever. So like it definitely makes sense. But also the one that you have is more to like just stop like droplets and stuff like that. Like it's not necessarily it's not a hospital grade or anything. It's literally like a thin t-shirt
sweater,
material.
T-shirt, yeah. But
we've been going for like a week and it's been pretty solid.
Mine's day 3. And I'm slowly working back in because it's been about 6 months since I've been in a
proper
gym.
Working out.
Yeah, so
you kind of started back like right before Rona,
and then fucking bullshit. Then the Rona hit and everything shut down. So
Have you been super sore?
I haven't been sore because I've been doing super lightweight and I've been doing like 3 sets of 10 or 15 maybe.
And you're doing like full body kind of stuff.
I'm doing full body, so I'll do like 1 lat exercise, 1 chest exercise, 1 rear delt
so not hitting
exercise,
anything so hard that it's just dying.
1 shoulder. I haven't done arms yet. You know, I haven't even done curls or triceps or anything. I probably got to work that in. But I'm also working in a lot of PT stuff in the gym. Like I'm doing like hamstring curls, standing and laying hamstring curls with just my body weight. I'm doing leg extensions with just the weight of my leg. I'm doing these weird like things where I lay on my back and then I pull my heels to my butt and I kind of drag them along, and that kind of like helps my pain because like, dude, my knee's fucked, dude. Like my knee is so fucked. I'm gonna have to do work on this for easily another 6 months to a year, like every day for 6 months to a year. It's bad. It's bad. And that's due to a lot of reasons, but the big reason being like, okay, Richard gets hit by a car. He waits a month to get back into PT because I want to make sure that like I can do it. Then I have blood clots. So then I go back into the hospital and then I'm out of commission for like another month. All right, a couple weeks go by. I start doing PT. I do PT for a couple weeks. Then boom, gym is available. I jump into the gym. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm getting to this point where I think everything's Gucci breakfast. Like we're going to make some shit happen. And then Rona hits. And I'm like, okay, cool. I didn't know that my PT stayed open because they sent out a bunch of emails that were like, COVID this, COVID that, COVID this, COVID that. And I'm like, okay, I guess I just don't do PT right now. Yeah. But they didn't shut it down, but I thought they shut it down anyway. And then, so for the past 3 weeks, again, it's been super immobile. So I basically have 6 months of a knee/leg healing without any proper PT, and like I feel like there's a lot of scar tissue that's all jacked up. I feel like a lot of tendons are like short. I feel like a lot of muscle wasting. Like it's a fucking problem, dude. But I'm doing my best, and
you're also getting your bladder fixed this week, right?
Yeah. So another thing that is like been having a hard time with the Rona is dude, I've been catching UTIs because I obviously, like, as soon as I feel like I have one, I just get my D-Manos and start increasing my water intake.
What is D-Manos?
D-Manos is a supplement that when inside of your bladder, it attaches itself to E. coli, specifically E. coli, which comes from your shit. And it bonds to E. coli and then flushes it out of your system. So in your kidneys, in your ureters, in your bladder.
When you have a UTI, is it typically E. coli?
So for someone with a spinal cord injury, it's usually E. coli because of our bowel program.
So some shit gets in your...
Because we're putting fingers in our butt even when there's gloves.
And then like a catheter ends up going in
and
your...
And then a catheter goes in. Yeah, so it's...
For a normal person, it's like, how do you even get shit in your bladder?
Yeah, so normal. I mean, yes,
normal person. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. But yeah, so because our bowel program involves us sticking fingers in our butt and digging out shit, like there's more E. coli bacteria around the area.
No, it makes sense.
Even if you wash your hands, sanitize it, whatever, still in your toilet region area, there's lots of E. coli. And then you put a foreign object into your body, and if that foreign object has a bacteria on it, it then gets in your bladder, and it's usually E. coli, or usually E. coli.
I see.
But the thing about working out that's dope is for me at least, I take a pre-workout, which is a diuretic, which goes whoosh and flushes out everything in my system. I also sweat a bunch, which gets more shit out of my system. I drink more water, which flushes more shit out of my system. So like working out and UTIs for me at least go hand in hand. So when I'm not lifting as much, I don't get as many.
Get more.
I get more UTIs. So that's something that I'm like stoked about. Also, working out improves my mood and improves my energy. You know, like, I don't know. It's a good way. Like, I work on momentum. I'm a momentum person. And I think a lot of people are momentum people, but they just don't know it. And momentum.
I think everyone is.
Momentum goes both ways. Like you can momentously go backwards or you can momentously move forwards. And for me, I like this
momentously.
I made up that word. I don't even know if that's real.
It's nice.
Someone Google it for me.
You can use momentum to go forward or backwards.
Yeah, and what I found is if I start my day at the gym, and I literally mean wake up, go to the gym, no food, no shower, literally take a piss, put on clothes, go to the fucking gym. And that gets my heart rate going, that gets my blood going, I get stretched out, my joints, my knees, everything feels good. I see people, I chat, you know, I got caffeine in my system, so I come home, I eat, I shower, and then usually by 11:30, 12, I'm ready to work, and then I work from 12 to 9 basically, or 10 or whenever I'm done working, because each day is different. And that's kind of like my non-Rona schedule. So I'm slowly finally getting back to the non-Rona schedule, which is nice. And then also when I'm at the gym, I feel better about myself and then start making better choices in the kitchen. You know, I don't keep as much junk food around because I know that I'm trying to get better in the gym. Like the gym is literally like, I feel like there are so many challenges, issues, and difficulties that people go through that the solution is seriously just working out.
Yeah,
like if you just work out, you're going to be fine. Like I even think about sometimes I got temper problems. For those of you that don't know, not really something I talk about because I don't really take it out on anybody, but I've got
it was exposed in Fred's video earlier. When you're in the gym, you just want to fight people.
Yeah, I just want to fight people. No, but I got proper temper problems where I'll just like snap on people. And because I haven't worked out, I don't snap on people. I mainly snap on myself. It's very
that's
weird.
actually really true.
It's very weird.
You get more like irritable and like, you know, you're like just fucking like people are annoying you way more. But if you like go work out, you're just like, whatever, like go with the flow type shit. That's
how I think about if anyone has ever met a fighter, like a jiu-jitsu or MMA, dude, fighters are the chillest because not only do they know that they could kick your ass at any fucking second, they just did like two 2-hour training sessions that day. So they're just like,
they also just
and
practiced
chill
killing
and relax
each other.
And like
they also literally just practiced killing people for the past couple hours. They do it every day.
So they're just so chill. Like I think about Diane, like Diane's mellow as fuck, but it's like she just rolls jiu-jitsu all day.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's actually fitness, man, it's great.
Yeah, we can kind of go back to the gym thing because I have another thing I want to talk about. But moving forward a second, so Joe Rogan, earlier this week, he had this lady that he has on a lot. Her name's Dr. Rhonda Patrick. And
she's very smart.
She's amazing. And one of the biggest things that she always talks about is longevity, like how to live longer. And there's a lot of things that she promotes.
And if you're a person with a spinal cord injury, you have something against you called your fucking spinal cord injury. So listen to what Rhonda has to say.
And she actually talked in the last episode about, in particular, people with disabilities. And one of the biggest things that she and Joe were going back and forth, they always talk about this, but is the sauna, the Finnish sauna. That's dry heat. Because so they've done like a lot of studies over the past few years, and she hasn't been on Joe's podcast in like well over a year.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, she had a baby, and so there was a lot of things. She hasn't been on in like at least 18 months.
Yeah.
But she just came back on this week, and so they've done a lot more studies on sauna since the last time she went on. And one of the craziest things that they've been able to prove is that 25 minutes in the sauna. So there's a couple things I wrote down.
How many times a day? Or I mean, how many times a week?
Yeah, I'll share the specifics. So basically, this is just the recommended. Any amount of sauna, even just once a week, is good and will raise a lot of different things. But I'm going to share like the ideal amount that they're recommending.
And doesn't this have to do with something called heat shock proteins?
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. Like basically this is what's kind of crazy about it. So after correcting for socioeconomic status, physical activity, blah, 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 all that stuff, like they've corrected for all the reasons why something might be better or worse for you. If you sauna 4 to 7 times a week at 175 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 minutes or 20 to 25 minutes, first of all, it decreases all-cause mortality by up to 40%. So that means for any reason that you might die, you just decrease that by 40%, which is insane. So just going in the sauna, literally for 20 minutes at 175 degrees, 4 to 7 times a week can decrease your mortality rate by 40%, which is insane.
Before we go any further,
unheard of.
I just want to make one little
There's
brief
nothing
thing
that you can do.
If you're a person with a spinal cord injury and you go into the sauna, get out of your chair because your chair will get really hot and it'll burn you. But also when you sit down, like
sit on a towel or something.
Like make sure you don't get burns, like because you can get 170 degrees is hot. Like make sure you're constantly like looking at your skin and like making sure it's blanching and like move your butt around because you're sitting on a hard surface.
A lot of gyms, like local gyms, will not get that hot. Honestly, the one at Lifetime sometimes gets up to 180. I've seen it.
Didn't Crunch used to get hot as shit, but every time some dumbass would open and close the door.
Well, it's really tiny. That one doesn't get that hot, honestly. The problem with a lot of saunas is like in gyms, they're not built ideally. They just kind of like, oh, we can put the sauna there. It's just like a weird spot for it.
It's an afterthought.
You know? It's kind of an afterthought. It's not a main concern. But the other thing that's crazy is one sauna session literally to your body. After measuring, okay, so let's say you go do a 25-minute run, a jog, a cardiovascular activity. The benefits to your body are the exact same by doing sauna for that same amount of time. So if you are sedentary, going and literally just sitting in the sauna for that same amount of time is literally doing a cardiovascular activity because your heart rate increases like crazy. Your blood is flowing all around your body because it's trying to... What's it called when your body is self-regulating?
Well, that's something that some people with spinal cord injuries have difficulty with, is being able to sweat and regulate their own temperature.
Yeah.
Their autonomic system is fucked up.
Exactly. But what's crazy is like so many people that don't want to do cardio, it's because it's fucking hard. And people associate sauna with like a spa and like relaxing. They're like, ooh, I'm going to go to a sauna. So it's a really easy way to start just like sweating.
I can fuck cardio and just go chill.
No, like literally you can.
I can play on my phone.
Dead ass.
Is there a way to turn a bathroom into a sauna? Like, can you turn the hot water as hot as shit?
You can do...
like turn a shower on and just sit next to the toilet or something?
The problem is that is now steam, and you can like literally cook your body. So the problem with steam saunas is even though it's not as hot... Because there's a difference
between a sauna and a steam room. Very different.
Yes. And the thing about the Finnish sauna is that it's a dry heat. They do sometimes in Finland, they pour water on the coals to make it hotter.
You know Sebastian? Loop Whoop?
Yeah.
He always about that sauna.
Yeah. And it's amazing. Like it feels amazing. And the other thing about it is it's... like you're literally sweating out everything. Like you just feel amazing afterwards because you sweat out like all the shit that's just like sitting in your skin, you know, like all the toxins or whatever the fuck you want to call them.
Yeah,
but literally like
all the gunk.
You just for the same reasons that you drink a ton of water when you're working out, it's because you're sweating out all the shit. And you do need to like, drink have like a more sodium intake after doing the sauna and stuff like that. There's a lot of things you need to like, do, maybe even consult with your doctor before doing it. But like for the most part, it's crazy because it's like the first time that they've been able to prove that like you can basically fuck cardiovascular activity and just sit in the sauna. Like it's literally insane. And if you have a gym, I mean, chances are there's a gym nearby you that has a sauna. Some of them don't always get as hot as you would like them to or whatever. But, and there's definitely going to be challenges, especially if you're like a wheelchair user, of like the logistics of getting inside of it, transferring in, like however you got to do it. But like just for the general health of people, like the benefits of sauna are like insane. And not only that, like they've done tons of studies on depression, dude. Like elevating your body temperature by just a couple degrees for, a couple times a week can do wonders for depression, because like typically when you're like sedentary and like laying in bed all day and just depressed as shit, like your body's not experiencing any elevated temperatures. You're not sweating at all.
Fact. I've been there. You're just basically,
dude, when you start,
you're a flat line.
Yeah,
that's all you are.
And when you
line.
sit in a sauna, it's literally all you're doing is just sitting there. But it's been shown that they can elevate people's moods just by sauna. Like it's a really powerful thing to elevate that body temperature. And like you said, that it also creates heat shock proteins in your body that are insanely beneficial to longevity. Like they're just these and the other thing is like 20 minutes in the beginning is going to feel like forever, but your body gets accustomed to it, and then that also helps with your own body's regulation, because you're basically throwing it into like a really intense environment. So the next time you're in a really hot environment, you're more like acclimated. Like, people that live in the desert, like it's not as hot to them as if you traveled to the desert. True. You'd be like melting.
I remember when I came to visit Atlanta the first time, I almost passed out. But now I'm ATL.
It's fine.
I'm like ATL ho, what up? You can actually get at-home saunas. Did you know this? It's basically like a little tent. It's like a tent. You sit in this tent and your head keeps out of it.
The benefits of those have been, it's hard to prove them because they're not FDA approved. So it's hard to do tests on those things. But also your head is not in it. So it's
weird.
It's not been proven in any kind of clinical studies, because that device is not FDA approved, because they talked about that on Joe Rogan. But to go back to your question about having a hot bath, you can not
necessarily a bath, but like just steam up the bathroom. Yeah,
I'm sure it has benefits, but it's not the exact same as going into a dry sauna. But there is, and also hot baths have been proven. And just like hot, there's also cold shock proteins doing like ice plunges and things like that.
The Wim Hof method.
They also have a lot of benefits as well. Like a lot in Finland, especially where sauna is really popular. They literally just go jump in the river, like where it's literally just freezing cold.
Well, I saw Sebastian do this one thing where it was snowing outside. He'd get in the sauna, he'd jump outside, roll around in the snow, get back in the sauna, melt, jump back outside, roll around in the snow.
And it's actually really good for you, and it feels amazing.
Yeah, so if you guys want to know more about Dr. Rhonda Patrick, episode 1474, Dr. Rhonda Patrick is a PhD in biomedical science and an expert on nutritional health. Her podcast and other videos can be found at foundmyfitness.com.
Yeah, and she has her own podcast,
but whatever.
Her own podcast is really hard to get through, honestly, because it's very
technical, probably.
Technical. If you're into that type of stuff, like, wow,
well, she
is a great resource. But hearing her talk to Joe puts it in such layman's terms and gets her to simplify things.
Because Joe is a smart idiot. Like, he's a dummy, and he knows he's a dummy, but he's a smart dummy. So, like, when he has conversations with people, he knows how to ask the right questions so that other dummies like me can understand what these experts are saying. I think Joe is a really cool way to, like, take someone who's like way too smart for their own good, that like people don't understand because they're way too technical, and then brings them back down, and then brings them back to Joe's world. Like, I worked at Apple at one point, and some of the salespeople that were too technical would have a hard time selling computers, because they'd be talking about processors and graphics cards and memories and hard drives and, screen resolutions and this and that. And your everyday person's like, I don't give a shit. Like, does it do my Facebook?
There's no context.
Does it give my Facebook and Netflix a good job? Like, I check email, like they didn't get it. But the people that were talking about like what you could do with it was different. But it's kind of, I think the same way. It's like, she can be like, well, this study with this amount of people and this correlation and this and that. He's like, okay, but like, what does that mean though?
Yeah, exactly. And she'll say like some random abbreviation, and he's like, people don't know what that means. She's like, oh yeah, you're right.
It's like, what is that?
Or like, I'm taking 5 millimoles of this and blah, blah, blah. The other crazy thing that she talked about, holy shit. The whole beginning of the podcast was all about this, and how vitamin D is highly linked to coronavirus deaths. People that have died because of, if you die because of coronavirus, the chances that you have a vitamin D deficiency is extremely high.
So if you're an overweight person who's depressed and and vapes, you're fucked.
Most Americans are vitamin D deficient because we don't go out enough, because vitamin D is caused by sun exposure. Your body produces it after you're in the sun.
I wonder if that's why I like the summer better, because I'm outside more often and I'm less sad.
Well, duh, yeah. But like also vitamin D production, like vitamin D is one of the most crucial things to your immune system.
What if you supplement? Can you supplement with vitamin D?
You can supplement. Listen to the podcast. They talked in detail about all of this.
Andrew, I don't want to listen to it. I want to listen to you tell me about it, okay?
I'm just relaying the information. But one of the interesting things is a lot of people with dark skin, because they have melanin, they can't get vitamin D in places that don't have as much sun exposure. So if you're a black person that is living in Scotland, for example, you are going to have vitamin D deficiency because your body is not going to be getting enough sun to produce vitamin D, because melanin is basically nature's sunblock. Like your body is literally blocking the sun's rays, and so you are not going to have enough vitamin D. You need to supplement, and that's actually one of the hypothetical reasons why the black community is getting hit so hard with coronavirus.
Well,
especially in New York City right now.
That was something that a lot of experts knew, that in pandemics, the African American community gets hit the hardest. It's like 70 to 80%. It's bad. And
even when you correct for socioeconomic stuff, like it's still bad.
It's still bad, yeah. And that's something that's interesting is like, if I'm going to talk about African Americans, and when I say African Americans, I mean people that have genetics linked all the way back to slavery, like those African Americans, not Africans that live in America. And that gene pool, that genetic line, like usually during slave times, was bred for like the top, right? So like the most elite female would breed with the most elite male, and this is fucked up because we used to treat people like livestock. Like, can you imagine? That's insane.
I wouldn't say we, but yeah, people that lived in America did. Yes.
Yeah, I personally didn't, obviously.
I don't like to link myself to that shit, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's not fun to talk about, obviously, because it brings up a lot of emotions, but it's
it's also interesting. There's a random side note. Usually white people that have generational wealth, that generational wealth comes from a family that owned slaves. It's
That's a big generalization, but sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a massive generalization, but like
generational wealth could be one generation ago.
I'm talking about multi-generational wealth. I'm talking about
sure. That's a big generalization, but yeah.
Anyway, so
I mean, I don't think anyone's disagreeing, but
so what they would pick out like the strongest and the fastest, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what they were also doing was breeding really bad things like heart problems and like diabetes problems and like a lot of like weird like genetic stuff that like now the African American community is like getting like fucked because there's a lot of things with their bodies that are not optimal, because back in the day through slavery they were bred for a very specific purpose. It's messed up. It's messed up to think about, but
yeah, obviously there's a lot of systematic oppression and all that stuff.
Yeah, but there's a reason.
But you're right. It goes back to biological.
Same thing with the AIDS epidemic. The African American community, or epidemic, whatever you want to call it, pandemic. I think
epidemic. I don't think it was a pandemic, because a pandemic is like worldwide catching it. I mean, AIDS is through sexual exposure, right?
No, but it's still worldwide. It's
whatever.
It's a worldwide thing. I
don't think it's a pandemic. I think it's an epidemic.
Epidemic is localized. Pandemic is universal. Is worldwide. Anyway, bottom line, African American communities do get hit harder, and it's especially with Corona. And now that you're saying that it's linked to vitamin D, that also makes a lot of sense too.
Well, vitamin D is just like super important for your immune function in total. Like it's way more important than I ever knew. And it's funny because like people always like talk about vitamin C when they're talking about immunity a lot of times. Or
drink orange juice, take emergency, take airborne, whatever.
And like there's not necessarily anything that disproves that those things like help, but it's like you're also just consuming a lot of sugar. But the thing that Rhonda was talking about that was just like so fascinating is just how crazy like the studies that they've done linking like coronavirus to vitamin D deficiency. Like it's absolutely nuts, and no one's come out and said it like publicly because there's not anything that's 100% proven or peer reviewed. Well,
that's what's hard. Is like
vitamin D is one of the easiest things to supplement, and it could be the one major thing that is life or death with or even getting symptoms or or not being symptomatic at all.
It's interesting that correlation does not equal causation, but it's interesting.
It's a good place to start.
It's kind of like the same thing with like some of these physicians in New York City, like off-label prescribing like certain types of medicines and stuff, and it's like there is a correlation between the people that take the medicine that get better quicker, but does that mean that even without the medicine they would have gotten better quicker? Because the virus acts differently with different people. Where did you get it? How did you get it? What type of blood do you have? How healthy are you? Are you fat? Did you smoke?
Well, the other
vape?
crazy thing
there's a lot. There's way too many
Did
variables.
you listen to Joe's podcast with Michael Yo? So Michael Yo got coronavirus and was in the ICU. Like literally, they weren't telling him if he was going to make it or not. Like he's a comedian and he was in New York City, and it was at the beginning of March, and he got coronavirus, and he said that he was kind of run down because he was traveling and all this stuff. But he also transmitted it to his mom, his older mother. Ooh. His mom beat it in one day. He was in the ICU on the fucking verge of death.
That's crazy.
But they think it was because he was kind of run down. He's been traveling a lot, all this stuff.
His body was fatigued, yeah.
His body was fatigued. And so the virus just swooped in and fucking attacked. And his mom, was just doing her normal life.
Probably robust,
but she got it, but she beat it in like a day. And she just had like a cough where like Michael had to get fucking an ambulance that came to his house. He couldn't breathe. And also another crazy thing is the doctor, they were saying like, should we put him on a ventilator? And his doctor said, no, if we put him on a ventilator, his body is going to depend on the ventilator and just give up and stop breathing for him. So it's actually kind of crazy because a lot of these people that are on ventilators in like New York City are basically dead, but they're only alive because they're on a ventilator.
Yeah, I've heard of some crazy stories coming out of like the Pacific Northwest where it's like there are people that are on ventilators, but they've got no family to come in and communicate with the doctors or with the hospitals. So basically,
you can't. You're not allowed to go in.
Yeah, basically you have a living dead person for like a couple of weeks, and it's like, What do we do? What do we do? Do we take them off the ventilator? Do we and let them die? But are they already dead? How do we talk to the family? Like, what's going on?
That's the hard thing about the ventilator thing, because that was in the beginning what it seemed like we needed the most of, like, oh, we have a shortage of ventilators, blah, blah, blah. But it also almost seems like the ventilator was just a kind of a way to artificially keep these people alive for longer that were probably going to die.
Well, if you go back all the way to like the Terry Schiavo cases, where it's like you can keep a human alive. You can breathe for them. You can have their own kidneys. You can have their own liver. You can like clean the blood. Like you can, like they can be alive but dead, meaning like their body is not keeping them alive, but they are alive. And it's like that was a case, a legal precedent setting case where like the husband was like, yo, I want to have the right to be able to like pull the plug, but everyone's like, no, it'll kill her, that's murder. And but then other people are like,
yeah, what is alive versus dead?
Yeah, what do you constitute, what was
the precedent that got set? Was he allowed to pull the plug?
Basically that you can, yeah. I think it was pretty, it was like, she had brain function, like she was responding functionally in her brain, but she was hooked up to so many machines that basally like
if they took off the machines, she would have died.
Exactly. And it's like, the argument is like, oh, she could recover. It's like, but she's not.
Was she able to respond to, like, say if she wanted to live or not?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
I think there was no response.
If they were able to ask her,
but like it got to the point where the family was like, hey, this is difficult for us. Like, can we just like
pull the plug
and donate our organs and stuff like that? And
that's a hard situation.
And it had to go to the Supreme Court. It was like a big deal. And like I had the guy I was in Scouts with, his brother, I don't know the full story, but the bottom line is, by some either on purpose or accident or some issue or situation, I don't remember, he shot himself in the head. And basically, like, it was a situation like that where he was like on life support and was completely alive but dead, you know, and his family was like, even if he does make a recovery, like his brain is messed up, like he got shot in the head. And it's a very interesting story. I don't know if this is a true story, but it's like he had this little like 22 or something that he used to always carry around with him, but it was known for being temperamental, meaning like you'd be driving in the car, hit a bump, and it would accidentally shoot. You know, like a bunch.
It's not a good gun to carry.
No, it's not. But I guess he was like inside. He was like outside with his buddies, like working on a truck, and like he went inside the house.
Dude, I have to pee so bad. Keep telling this story.
Yeah, went inside the house. I gotta pee next to you. We too much coffee. He went inside the house and he took his shirt off. And I guess while he was taking his shirt off, the shirt got caught in the gun or the holster. And as he was pulling the shirt off his head, it like went off and like pow, like shot him in the head.
Dude, I had a friend from high school. He shot himself, and he was on life support too.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if that's the truth.
Sounds like the same story.
Like, I don't know if it's the truth or if that's the story. Like, I don't know. Like, I've talked to his brother, not in detail, but it's like I didn't know if it was one of those things that like that's just the story they told everybody else, versus maybe it was like, nah, he's been suicidal for a long time, and everyone was worried about the fact that he had this gun that he was carrying around with him. And
I would think it's the latter.
Right, and then one day decided to just like pop himself in the head, and everyone's like, "Oh no, what happened?" And then his friends that were there were like, "Oh, we don't even know what happened."
That's the thing with suicides too. Is like it's always at a very like random time too.
Yeah, I mean, some mental health, some suicide is extremely predictable. But if you don't know to look for the signs, you don't know. So, for example, isolation is a big thing. Stopping doing all of the things that you enjoy doing. People giving away very important and sentimental items to their friends. People writing letters and notes about like gratitude and appreciation for their relationship. They're trying to say goodbye. Right? Like they're basically acting like there's going to be a funeral. They're like, hey, you know, I have this thing that's really important to me, but I want to give it to you because I love you so much and you're really important to me. And it's like, you know, like I've got
They're sort of like building up to this like.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've got a buddy of mine who a couple years ago was going through some really hard shit. And like regularly he would like message me things about, you know, like how grateful he was for our relationship and our friendship and whatnot. But I would always go check in on him. Like immediately, I'd be like, "Hey, dude, are you okay? What's going on?" He's like, "You know, I'm not thinking about doing too good. You know, I was thinking about jumping off a roof or whatever, yada yada." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like, I'm glad I checked in on you. But then there's been other times where like he's better now. Like he's like taking medication, gone to therapy, like reads like personal development books. Like he's not in the same place anymore. But like he hit me with one of those like, "Hey man, like I really appreciate you and like love our friendship." And I was like, "Oh shit, you okay?"
Good? Yeah.
Yeah, and it like because he hit me up at like midnight or some shit, and I'm like, what a random fucking time to like be like, "I love you," oh, and then like you know, like it was.
That's why I get weirded out sometimes when like
it was sketch.
Someone I haven't seen in a while goes, "Man, I love you."
Dude, honestly,
like,
the thing I think is either they're going through a rough time or they're like super high and they're just in that mode where they're just like trying to tell all their friends they love them. You know, like when you're just like
you get inspired. You're like I haven't told my friend from 13 years ago who I used to went to high school with that like I love him, man.
Yeah, you're like super drunk or super high and you're just like, dude, I haven't talked to Chris in forever. Dude, I fucking love that. Dude, man. I should talk to fucking... Dude, I'm going to send Chris a message, bro. Hey, bro, I know we haven't talked in like 3 years, bro, but like, I just want to say, man, like, I know when we worked together at that Apple store, man, you were one of the coolest guys, and I fucking love you, man.
That's awesome.
So true. I've definitely been there. But
yeah, I definitely... It's crazy. Like, I don't even know how we got on this topic of life support and where we got here.
Well, I was talking about Michael Yo being on the ventilator.
Oh,
being
on the ventilator.
Coronavirus.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Coronavirus. But
it's getting real.
Speaking of precedent, we didn't put this on the list that you had, but I had it on my list.
Go.
Facebook has a new advisory board.
It's on here, I think. Oh no, it moved.
It moved. So Facebook. This is a really interesting story. So they talked about this a few months ago and whatever, and they said that they were basically putting together an advisory board that will basically be kind of like the Supreme Court of Facebook cases. Like what
the fuck does that even mean?
So basically,
is Facebook a government now?
So this is what's interesting. Yeah. So this is what's interesting. So this advisory board, the goal is for them to become independent of Facebook. So basically Facebook like is basically, it's kind of like WADA with the UFC. So WADA is the World Anti-Doping Agency. And the UFC contracts WADA to do all of their anti-doping
compliance. Yeah.
So Facebook is funding the advisory board or whatever, but just because they fronted all the money doesn't necessarily mean that they own it but they're saying that like they're writing in their like constitution or whatever.
That's suspect. I don't believe that.
But what's cool is eventually all these other social medias are either going to have to follow suit or completely not have any control over what's allowed on the platform at all.
That's what Jack Dorsey does with Twitter. Twitter's a free-for-all. You could put porn on Twitter.
You can put porn on Twitter.
You can put whatever you want.
But that's where you walk the fine line because you can get banned on Twitter.
Yes, you can.
He doesn't allow anything.
Twitter does have some rules, and Jack is known for being political. And a lot of people,
but like if you're a porn star, it's not going to be.
You can show your fucking genitals, but you can't like call someone a dead name. Like that's the funny weird line. It's like you can literally show the most vulgar shit. Like you can't show like dead bodies, but you can show your fucking.
That's
you
what
can
I,
show
that's
straight
what I
up
mean
porn.
by like a porn star.
Yeah.
Like if you're a porn star, that's what you do. That's
you can literally promote your OnlyFans and like literally show your titties and vag. Like you can do whatever you want.
Titties.
If there's good intention behind it.
Yeah, exactly. But
Facebook
you can't dead name someone. You also can't like call someone a
what's dead name?
A dead naming someone is when someone, let's say I am a trans person and I'm transitioning.
Okay.
I'm going to explain it for the audience. I'm transitioning to a girl and now I'm saying my name is Andrea instead of Andrew. Andrew is now my dead name because I'm telling you that now I will be referred to as Andrea and I'm a woman. If you on Twitter refer to me as Andrew, you can get completely banned from Twitter.
For hate speech
which
purposes.
Is fucked up because it's like, hey, that's not a slur. Obviously, if it's being used in a derogatory manner, which a lot of times it is, I understand how it's disrespectful, but that guy's showing his penis and he's allowed to be on the platform and you called me my dead name and now I'm banned. You know what I mean? Like it's such a weird double standard of like what's allowed and what's not. So anyways, the advisory board, ideally, eventually other companies will be able to use the advisory board to settle their cases. And so, for example, if there's a, what was the dude that taught his dog to do the Nazi salute or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Context Matters guy in the UK.
What's his name again? Count something?
Count Dankula.
Count Dankula. Yeah, exactly. Funniest name ever.
And it's so funny because his whole entire thing was about context matters, and everyone was on the opposite saying context doesn't matter. Hate speech is hate speech.
It's never okay.
And he was leaving court, and some reporter was like, said something about like, do you think it's okay that you made your dog do the Nazi salute? And he's like, you just said the word Nazi salute. You are saying what I'm being punished for right now.
Context matters.
Context matters.
If I'm not allowed to do what I'm doing, you're not allowed to say the word Nazi.
You're not allowed to say it. If I can't do it, then you can't do it.
Exactly.
It was like this whole huge legal precedent thing, and it's interesting because like Facebook already has a lot of people like feel like Facebook censors and Facebook is a dictatorship.
Well, they do censor.
And Facebook has inconsistent rules. So if there is a Facebook Supreme Court that can set legal precedents, or not legal precedents, set social precedents, so that it's like if one person does one thing to another person and they're like, oh, that person doxed this person and then exposed their nudes. We had a case that happened 3 years ago, and that person had a lifetime ban and fines. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing to this person as that person happened. Basically, like real Supreme Court with like real legal precedent.
Exactly. And basically, the interesting thing about that is they can kind of step back as the bad guy. So now it's not Zuck.
It's not the Zuck, it's the Supreme Court or whatever.
Exactly. It's basically...
What's it called?
It's called the... It's called the Oversight Board.
The Federation of Correlation of Oversight Board.
I'm going to pull this up, actually.
Of the Books of the Faces.
It's not related to Facebook, though. Like they're
but
really
Facebook
trying...
But Facebook pays for it, though?
They fronted the money to fund it, yeah.
And then how does it stay profitable? Facebook keeps paying them?
Yeah, because they're contracting them. Do you understand? Like for example, if...
This is so... It's like... It seems
it's exactly
sketch.
like WADA with the UFC.
I mean,
bro.
but even WADA seems sketch. I mean, same thing with the U.S. doping agency when it comes to the Olympics. Like it's like, hi, we're the Olympic team, and we contract a private drug testing company to wink wink randomly drug test us, and that pee in blood is guaranteed, and because they show up randomly, and it's like, okay,
the WADA is going to get paid no matter what. Their job is to catch people. They are external from the UFC. The UFC came to them after they were getting exposed for having problems in that area, and they came in and cracked the fuck down and put in way stricter guidelines. The UFC contracts WADA to say, hey, we're not going to regulate this stuff. We're bringing in WADA to do it. And that's exactly what Facebook is doing. Just because they fronted the money I agree. It is in the beginning, it will be very much like, oh yeah, well, duh. Oversight board is Facebook because they fronted the money. But who is going to front the money? The government's not going to fucking front the money.
Well, if you think about it, I think corporations are going to start being governments. Like, I think the U.S. government is going to get fucking taken over by Zuckerberg and Facebook. Like, I think everyone's like,
how?
Dude, I don't know, dude. I just think it's, let me put on my tinfoil hat real quick. I don't think U.S. politics are going to get a billionaire CEO to be in the White House. But a billionaire CEO, especially a billionaire CEO who runs, I don't know, Facebook, has more power than the president, I think. Has the potential to have more power.
But how's that overrunning the government?
Meaning, like,
Facebook sets laws that override the government's laws?
No, let's say...
I mean, because, dude, we're talking about worldwide
Hold
shit.
on, let me finish. Trump says something in one of his daily press conferences. Facebook has the power to either relay that message or relay and share a different message. You know, they can change the narrative because people...
Yeah, but how is that overriding the government, overrunning the government? Like, the government becomes irrelevant? That's the police and enforcement. It's not like it's not like Zuck is going to have his own police force.
I think
it's going out and enforcing martial law.
When I said the word government, I guess I spoke too broadly. And I haven't really thought too much about this. So let me take my tinfoil hat back off. But I'm just saying, but I'm just saying,
back down to earth.
I just think corporations currently are too big and have too much power.
In December, Facebook said it set aside $130 million to fund the board's operations. That seems like a lot in the grand scheme of how much Facebook makes. That's a drop in the fucking bucket, dude.
It's nothing.
But basically,
$100 million is like $1,000 to these people.
So check
like
this out. So the inaugural 4 co-leaders of the oversight board, I'm not going to say their names because you wouldn't know them, but they are respectively a former special rapporteur on freedom of expression at the Organization of the American States, a law professor at Columbia, a law professor at Stanford, and a former prime minister of Denmark.
Okay,
those are 4 of the 40 people who are going to make up the oversight board. I can fuck with
Denmark. They're democratic socialists. I can fuck with Denmark.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's going to have 40 members overseeing a platform of 2.37 billion.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, but I think it's a step in the right direction because I don't know if you saw the whole expose that it was a lot of great journalism by Casey Newton from The Verge, but basically he went into these contracted companies that do Facebook moderation and exposed a lot of really bad things. So basically these people that work for, I don't remember the company names, but basically Facebook comes to them and and contracts out their moderation to these companies.
Oh, right. Okay.
And what happens is it's almost like a call center, but instead of hitting the phones, you are just constantly being shown things that have been flagged on Facebook. So every
like
single
YouTube,
day,
like reviewers, like YouTube
a manual reviewer,
yeah.
But this is for Facebook, and there's a lot more things being shared on Facebook than like YouTube's algorithm is pretty good at figuring out what's going on.
Is that why now Facebook has those like fact check things under everything someone posts? Like someone posts something and then at the bottom will be like, Facebook says this is bullshit, or like Facebook says this is legit.
Well, that's to combat fake news. That's not reporting like child porn and shit like that. Like, so these people are sitting at a desk every day and there's different levels of where you're at. So you're in a specific category. So like I could be on the terrorism category, and all day, every day, I'm literally just looking.
Didn't Matthew get a fucking terrorist ad on Facebook? What was that shit he said?
It was like Sharia
group?
law something.
It was literally like an ad about like how bad the West is. I was tripping.
Yeah, it was some dumb guy that just bought a Facebook ad, but this is way different. So basically this is like, so if I'm on the anti-terrorism, I'm just being shown videos that have been flagged for terrorism all day. And I either say, yes, this is terrorism, or no, it's not terrorism. And that's basically how they go through and do manual review because AI is not good enough yet. And then basically you keep coming upon a lot of these same videos. Like there was this one lady who was on the like, you know, and also there's like a certain kind of filtering thing where one person, they kind of categorize everything from the beginning. So they're seeing everything from child porn to cats being just shot in the face to people being murdered. Like, it's literally so bad, and people have legitimate PTSD from
I was gonna
this
say
shit.
you got to go to therapy after that.
And not
shit.
only that, these companies were not offering therapy. They were having really strict rules. Like, if you did the wrong categorization like 5 times in a week, you were just like fired, and like there was no counseling. There was limited
fucked.
There was limited bathroom breaks. Like, apparently the workstations were really filthy because they worked 24 hours. So like, you would go in and sit at a desk that like someone else had just sat in at that desk for like 12 hours, and they had limited bathroom breaks
everywhere.
Yeah, like apparently there was even reports of like sexual fluids like in places and stuff. Like, it was really disgusting. Like, it was a really gross place to work, and it's nasty. And these places they weren't making very much money. They were not being treated fairly. And again, like, if you want to learn more about this, Casey Newton did he did 2 big pieces on this, but it did a lot to expose that industry. And Facebook, the problem is Facebook didn't know that a lot of stuff was happening because this is all being outsourced, right? So they'd have people come in and do their little sweeps and like see like, oh, looks like everything's going good. They would be announced when the Facebook was going to come. So whenever the bigwigs from Facebook were going to come to these locations, they would stay up all night cleaning the place and making it look nice.
It reminds me of like Amazon's fulfillment centers.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of because they
got to hit numbers
because they privately contract warehouses already existing
to do fulfillment,
and then Amazon comes in with its very strict rules, and then all the people that work in that fulfillment warehouse are like, what the fuck is this? You know, like, I'm pissing in jugs, you know, like, it's
because they had limited bathroom breaks and all this stuff, and they were timed on everything. But
crazy,
that's literally the same type of stuff that was happening in these Facebook moderation places. Some places were better than others, but a lot of these people were under contract to like say, like, they weren't allowed to speak out, but they did anyways. And like, hats off to them.
Like whistleblow, basically.
Basically, they were whistleblowers for this type of shit, and Facebook got a lot of blowback from those stories. And I think that this is a good step in the right direction to start implementing something on a bigger scale, because we can't just be. I mean, dude, think about just looking at the worst of the worst human behavior.
It's like scrolling through Live Leak or like fucking rotten.com
all day. But
by the way, never go to either of those places.
But even those places, stuff can get taken down, I think. Like, you know, it's
I've seen a guy get run over by a train, and like,
me too.
Like,
but like,
Live Leak is fucked up.
It is. But again, like, these people literally, like, as soon as you clicked like yes or no, you just got another one. Like, there was no break. Like, you couldn't just like take a pause and be like, holy fuck. Like, literally these people that cared about animals would just be watching like animals getting like shot in the face and strangled all day.
What
like,
it's called.
So fucked.
I forget what it's called, but therapists actually get this problem too. So I knew my therapist, she was working with a lot of Army veteran rape victims. So women that had been raped while being overseas in service, and basically, like, if you speak out, you'll be punished. So it's unfortunately like a free-for-all rape fest. Like, it's bad. It's very bad. And she told me that she worked.
That's the title of this episode: Free-for-all rape fest.
Oh, it's messed up.
I'm just kidding. God damn it! Sorry.
And you dumb shit.
You said it, not me.
And so basically, she was multiple cases. She was working with multiple women that were dealing with like these problems, and she said that, like, I forget again, I don't know what it's called.
Secondhand PTSD. Basically,
she started receiving all of the trauma herself, and then she started behaving and acting like she had been raped. Oh, like, it was very weird. She told me, because I was like seeing regular appointments. She's like, "Hey, I'm taking 2 months off. Like, I have to go seek therapy."
It's like secondhand PTSD.
She's like,
basically.
I have to seek therapy. I have to take time for myself. Like, I can't even be a therapist right now. Like, I'm too fucked up. And it's like, imagine those people feeling the same way by just seeing like horrible things happen all the time.
These employees, like, said, like, even after they quit, they would have night terrors and PTSD, like all kinds of fucked up shit. And these people, meanwhile, were making like $12 an hour. Like, it wasn't good.
Call center money is trash money.
And not only that, they were having to spend money on their own therapy. Like, there wasn't any kind of recourse for therapy or anything. Like, it
wasn't built into the ecosystem of the companies.
And it totally should have been. Like, and I mean, are we really gonna? I mean, obviously, the idea would be to get AI good enough to make it so that humans aren't having to regulate this stuff. But I mean, it's just not right now. Like, it's just not. And ideally, I think a lot of this stuff would have to go back to precedent. Like, if we can say, because there are a lot of nuanced things that should and shouldn't be on these platforms, whatever, and that's up to them to decide, I guess. But I think there's always going to be places where free speech will be totally unregulated. And then it's like, okay, well, if you want to keep using Facebook, you're just going to have to live with the fact that there's like a Supreme Court that is going to decide what can and won't be allowed.
I have a buddy of mine who recently
guess.
discovered the dark web and has started like playing around in the dark web, just like looking for stuff and whatever. And he said that he found a dark web Facebook that's literally like a carbon copy of Facebook, but for the dark web, which means it's completely unregulated. Like, there are no rules on this place.
There's a couple of like kind of more well-known platforms that are 100% free speech, and people like are really afraid of those places because a lot
isn't
of like
isn't 4chan kind of like that?
Yeah, that's less of a social network though, I think. But it's more of like a messaging board kind of forum type shit.
It's anonymous messaging board. I would say it's kind of a social. It's
kind of similar for sure. But yeah, there's these other platforms. I forget what they're called, but the guy that was on Rogan's podcast was talking about he converted a bunch of KKK members and stuff.
Oh yeah, that guy.
He was talking about those platforms because he was saying that they're actually good because the only way that we're ever gonna like get to these people and convert racists and homophobes and
it's
people
like find them where they're at and talk to them.
I mean, like, I hate, it's kind of like what Jesus did, like he went in and like hung out with prostitutes and lepers and
tax collectors
and shit because those were the hated people. And like people were like, ew, Jesus, why are you hanging out with them? And it's like, dude, that's what you got to do to convert these people, bro. Like, if you just isolate them and let them live in their own like filth environments, it's just going to get more and more and more toxic. Because if you ban white supremacists from Facebook, where are they going to go? They're going to go to some other platform where it's only white supremacists, and then they're only making their environment more and more toxic because you're not getting any nuanced opinions in there. And that's what's fucked up about a lot of these problems is like, yeah, I agree. Like, maybe we don't allow white supremacy on Facebook, but again, where are they going to go? It's kind of like when you put people in jail for doing something bad and then you release them a year later. It's like, did they get fixed or did you just kind of like put a Band-Aid on the problem and now they're back in the real world, probably even more mentally fucked up than they were before, you know? It's like, are we really fixing the problem or are we just temporarily like, ew, go away? But they didn't die. They're just not on our platform anymore. So it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind, kind of like factory farms or something like that. There's a lot of parallels. I mean,
that's kind of like what they do in Brazil with the favelas. Basically, like Brazil is mostly.
What are the favelas?
Favelas is basically a town of sheds on the side of a mountain. And it's where all the crime and criminals and murder and like drug people.
It's like outside the city limits kind of shit.
Yeah, and not only that, like the police don't even go there. Like it's like completely ignored. And because Brazil has a very big wealthy population, but also an extremely larger impoverished, like in poverty. And
totally.
the favelas are where
Brazil is huge too.
Yeah, and
it's a large country.
I'm specifically talking about like in Rio, like there's the favelas.
Still.
Yeah, it's like this. It's a very like don't go there, you'll die. Like it's don't
the favelas.
Don't go to the favelas, you will die. And it's like it's just crazy. And like the cartels, like the drug lords, those are the people that like run it. Those are like the government. Those are the presidents. They got muscle. They got hitmen. It's just like it's not cool. And they try to get people. If you ever seen any of the Fast and Furious movies? I forget. There's one Fast and Furious movie where like they go and find Dom, and Dom is living in the favelas, and it's like,
and then he goes, family. Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
Yeah, but
oh wait, that's all of them.
That's all of them.
Except for Tokyo Drift,
which honestly might be one of my favorites. I love Tokyo Drift
because it doesn't have Vin Diesel.
It's got Han and some white boy from Alabama.
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I've seen that movie in its entirety.
The Tokyo Drift? Oh, you're missing out.
Tokyo Drift is a good movie. It's
I need to watch it.
It's out of place.
Yeah,
Very
it's not really a Fast and Furious, is it?
Well,
Is it connected to that whole universe?
Yeah. Well, you know what happened?
Isn't it a prequel kind of?
It's sort of a prequel, yeah.
So it came out 3rd, but it was supposed to come out 6th, but they were filming it, and then it got leaked, and they were like, "Fuck it. Let's just release it." So they released it in theaters, and everyone's like, "What the hell is this?" But you don't meet Han until the 5th or the 6th one, and then you go, oh.
If I didn't know what you were talking about, I'd be like, oh, they're talking about Star Wars. Yeah, the first one came first, and the third one is, and then you don't meet Han until the 6th one.
Basically.
Or whatever the fuck.
Basically.
You don't meet Han until later, but actually the first one is supposed to be first, and then blah, blah, blah.
The first one was good.
Whatever.
The second one was good. Tokyo Drift, the third one was good. Dude, listen, I'm a sucker for cars and guns, and every Fast and Furious movie is about cars and guns. So fucking sign me up, all right?
Is Fast and Furious the equivalent of Tekashi 6ix9ine? It's like
it's something I love.
Objectively bad and stupid, but I love it. It's ignorant and fun.
Love it. Just like Mission Impossible movies. Sign me the fuck up. I love Mission Impossible movies.
I think Mission Impossible is a little more nuanced.
All day. You know why I like
Well, I take it back. He fucking held onto the side of a plane. That's pretty unrealistic.
So
yeah, dude, he tries to top himself like every movie.
You know the next Fast and Furious movie and the next Mission Impossible movie, they're going to have stunts in fucking space. They're training for it currently. They're doing space stunts.
I haven't watched any of those movies in a long ass time. I also don't. That's the same kind of reason why I don't really like Marvel movies. It's like, okay, just stop.
I watched the last hour of Avengers Infinity Wars.
I like Iron Man, but that's about it.
Well, yeah, how can you not like Iron Man? But
you don't like him?
No, I do. I like.
No, I was like, how do you not like him? And I go, you don't like him.
Oh, well, you know what's funny is like I watched that movie only when we would fly. When you and I were on the plane and you're on Southwest, you know how Southwest gives you like the free movies or whatever, on your phone. That's the only time I would watch that movie, and I'd watch it in 30-minute, 45-minute segments because our flights are usually decently quick, and I don't have that much attention. I got a bad attention span. But anyhow, recently
so you love Quibi, huh?
Oh my god, I would all over some Quibi.
What? Ooh, Chance the Rapper on fucking Punk.
Dude, you got such a vendetta against fucking...
No, honestly, I don't hate Quibi. I downloaded it and watched an episode of it. And then I was just like, cool, I don't care anymore. I'm going to go back to YouTube. Oh, yeah, okay, let's go back for a second. We don't have very much more time.
We got 6 minutes. What are we going to do, though?
Rogan.
Okay, yo.
So we talked about Rogan earlier, and he made a very big announcement this week.
Big dick energy move.
Big dick energy. So basically the gist of it is, so Joe Rogan, biggest podcast in the world, arguably the most listens, downloads, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He gets about 190 million downloads a month.
There's no arguably. He is the biggest podcaster in the world.
He's got 190 million downloads a month. The reason why I said arguably is sometimes like NPR's podcasts and like Wall Street Journal's podcasts like have more downloads in a month sometimes.
But that's not
audio, blah, blah.
But that's not a personality. Sorry.
Anyways, I agree. That's why I said arguably podcast, not
that's why when people are like, T-Series is the... No, it's not. PewDiePie is.
So, he's never been on Spotify. So, and the argument is that Spotify is a paid platform. It's pay to play. So if you're a free listener, they're going to put ads on your shit. So like when you're listening to the Wheels to Walking podcast on Spotify, you might get an ad, even though we don't ever get any kind of kickback from that. If you're not paying. If you have Spotify Premium, there's no ads. So Joe is like, fuck that. I'm not getting any kickback from Spotify. I'm not putting my stuff on Spotify. So he's never been on Spotify. He's only been on the free platforms and YouTube. But he announced that starting September 1st, he's going to be on Spotify as well as all the other platforms. And then starting next year, he will be streaming exclusively on Spotify. So there will be no full episodes anywhere except Spotify, and that's including video. So video and audio will be exclusive to Spotify, and YouTube will only have clips. So he will still be uploading clips to YouTube on this clips channel, but on the main channel, he will no longer be uploading full-length video episodes to YouTube. He will be only posting on Spotify.
Could you imagine how much money Spotify had to pay this motherfucker? Just up front, not for the whole contract, just an incentive.
And it's just a licensing deal.
Just an incentive to get him there.
They don't own Joe Rogan's podcast. It's just a licensing deal to just get him to be exclusive. And Wall Street Journal estimated that it was at least $100 million.
And I am 0%
And he said it was a multi-year licensing deal, but he didn't say how many years. So it's at least 2.
I would say probably 3. A lot of deals are 3 years. Are 3 years.
Probably 3 years. But shit, dude. Like, that is a huge congrats to Joe, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it.
Me neither.
I don't like using Spotify for podcasts, but Joe is a big enough pull for me that I probably will go listen on Spotify.
This is what I love.
For him.
This is what I love. This is the thing about Joe. Joe can do whatever the fuck he wants because he's Joe Rogan. He's been doing this for, what, 20 years now?
No. I think like 10.
More than 10. Well, we'll call it 10. So 10 years, a fucking decade. And and he, when he got started, had Fear Factor money, which is AKA fuck you money. So whenever someone was like, hey, you should do this deal, you should do that deal, you should do this, you should do that, you know, he was like, no, fuck you. You know, and so he had fuck you money.
He started in 2009. Or December 24th, 2009. So basically 2010.
Cool.
So it's been like 10 years.
Yeah. And so he's been able to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, however he wants. And I guess Spotify just like lubed it up nice enough to be like, hey, you want 100 milli? Just post over here.
Well,
I think it's also because he's sick of fucking YouTube. Hey, YouTube, get your shit together, man. A lot of creators are leaving because you aren't fucking doing your job. What the hell?
Well, not that many creators because there's nowhere else to go. But yeah, like the problem is like he always is getting demonetized for random things. And at least
I wouldn't be
with
surprised
Spotify,
if H3 leaves. If H3 leaves, I wouldn't be surprised either. They got major demonetization problems too.
Yeah, the problem is like where do they go make that back? You know what I mean? And with Spotify, he's not necessarily monetizing each episode, and he's also still going to do his regular ads. So he's still going to make the same amount of money per episode that he was already making.
And then Spotify is going to jump on his back.
Giant fucking bag of Spotify.
But Spotify knows that over that year-long or 2 or 3 year contract that they're going to make more than 100 million back. So to them, this is an easy investment.
Because he's the only big enough person, I think, that podcast listeners will convert over. And I actually, even though I don't really like Spotify as a podcasting platform,
can't stand it.
I admire what they're doing because they're basically trying to become the YouTube of podcasts. And it's really smart. Like they've acquired a lot of really big podcasts. They acquired Gimlet. They acquired Anchor. They're getting the largest podcaster in the world to be exclusive to their platform. And I wouldn't be surprised if to watch the videos, you have to be premium because he did say it's going to be free, but they're definitely going to inject their own ads, which he's probably going to get a cut of. And then I'd be curious if they just run ads and he doesn't do his own ads anymore. Like I wonder if they would inject his ads as their ads. I don't know. We'll have to see. But
is this
then
available
also,
for everyone? Because I'd like to try this too. We could throw this on Spotify just to see.
We're on Spotify.
Audio, but what about video?
It's not allowed yet.
That's what I'm saying. Joe's allowed. Zane and Heath are allowed. Why can't can we do it? Like, how do we do it?
Well, Zane and Heath still aren't on there yet.
Oh,
like it's only announced that they're going to be doing a trial, and they are the first podcast to do the trial. Oh, like there's no video podcast on Spotify currently, but it was announced that they're starting video podcast with Zane and Heath. Hasn't started yet. Don't know when it's starting. And then Joe is the second person that they've announced that's going to be video. So we're not allowed yet. Another cool thing that's happened recently is apparently YouTube now is putting the timestamps in the time bar, the timeline. So when you scroll through, it'll show you where the timestamps are, and it gives you a little preview of what the timestamps are.
Is it kind of like what they do on the old PH?
It's like what they do on the PH, dude.
What they do on the old
It's
PH.
what they do on the PH.
That's my favorite. I jump on there. I go to that website maybe once every.
It's not every video that has
months.
it though.
I don't go on that often. Okay.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
They just unveiled that feature, bro.
Listen, I got a girl. I'm Gucci. If I didn't have a girl, I'd be on there way more often. But you just like scroll and you're like, ooh, that little white line is my favorite thing. Click.
And that's all that needs to be said about that, I guess. Follow us on places. I don't know.
Honestly, dude, my bladder is going to explode. I'm surprised I've been pissed all over myself already.
Yeah,
and I'm hungry.
That's pretty much it. Anyways, congrats to Joe Rogan for getting that stupid bag. And yeah, follow us on places.
Follow us on places and also make fun of us inside the Facebook group with memes or videos. Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.